Awesome, guys. Appreciate you guys joining us today. We're doing something special here. A couple of people had requested it. So we're going to be working on handling like smart transferring, right? So the use case scenario is sometimes you want to take a call and you want the AI agent to make a call or like call a person, right? And make sure that they're going to accept the call before the agent transfers over the caller to them. So this is going to give us finer control. And for that, Nir here, the founder of Cloudonix, is going to be helping us out and showing us how to do exactly just that.
Yeah, awesome. So hi everybody. I don't know if I guess some of you may have heard of what I did on Monday, which apparently had like 50 other people contact me on Discord on all kinds of things that related to telephony. And the idea that Alex and I talked and realized that there are a lot of issues with transfers. They either happen or they don't happen, and they don't happen and you think they happened, and you basically have no real control over them. And the reason is not that they don't work, it's simply the interface being used is wrong. They don't provide your agent with the proper call control, and you don't have any feedback. So what we're going to do today, we're going to show you more or less, and by the way, be gentle on us because we didn't prepare anything. We're going to do this from scratch. So we're going to show you how to do all sorts of things with telephony that work a little different than the normal way that you're kind of used to on retail. By the way, what we're going to show works on retail and work in a similar fashion on other engines as well. So it doesn't really matter. In order for this, I already created, I'll show you. So we have, here we go. So I created a PBX system for us, specifically for this case, and it's already connected to Cloudonix. So you can see here, this is my PBX system. I have one extension defined over here. We have a trunk that is connected to Cloudonix. By the way, all of this information is available on our developer website, and I'll be happy to walk you through it as well. And we already have an existing Cloudonix account. Our inbound domain is already configured. We already have configured an outbound trunk over to the PBX. And as you can see, we even have an existing phone number. I'll show you that I can dial. So I'll dial it from my phone. By the way, you can dial it from your phones. Anybody in the US, just do a +1. And it will answer. I'm going to dial that now. 212 804. Here we go. So here we go. And
hello world. Welcome to Cloudonix.
So basically we can answer that. And if I'll refresh, you can see that the call was here. Now, the objective that what we're trying to do is, in this case, we're going to first connect our inbound call to an agent on retail. We're going to do that using a pre-call webhook, incoming call webhook. Correct me if I'm getting the terms wrong, Alex. Okay. So we're going to push that in. And the objective is for the agent to transfer the call to extension 10,000, which is on my desk. And when we do so, the objective will be to do it with a message that gives me information about the inbound call. It's going to be what's called an intended transfer. So what you may refer to as a warm transfer that basically creates kind of like a conference call and starts yapping its gums with some kind of message where nobody really understands what it wants. So the idea here is going to make it far more seamless, on one hand, more natural. Alex, I think the best thing to do right now is to show the flows that we worked on.
So let's see. So what's going to happen here is we're essentially going to be receiving a call, right? So we're going to be receiving the inbound call. That call, we're going to be using the inbound webhook, and we're going to be using inbound webhook where we're going to create a Cloudonix session there. During the Cloudonix session, we're then going to use we're going to pass a call ID, and we're going to pass this over to retail using the register to phone call there. So we get the inbound webhook, we create the register of phone call, which in that register of phone call, we're going to be passing a couple of pieces of information, which is going to be the Cloudonix session. So far, so good?
Yep, all good.
Perfect. And then in retail, we're going to build a couple of tools. So one, we're going to build this this transfer call instead of using the native retail. And I don't know if you guys can see. Hopefully, everyone can see the diagram there. And I'll also paste this on the chat there. You guys can also take a look at this. But we're going to be creating a custom function here that's going to be handling our transfers. So instead of using the native retail function, we're going to be creating our own custom function. And then what's going to happen there is that function is then going to trigger an outbound call to whatever person that's going to be, right? So I'm going to be using Michael. I think Michael is here. He had sent me an example for a tax consulting firm, right? So the scenario is there's an inbound receptionist. Someone wants to speak with a specific tax professional. Let's call him Mike in this example. The agent is going to say, okay, you want to speak to Mike? Great. We're going to trigger this function here, which all that's going to do is going to trigger an outbound call over to Mike. The agent will speak to Mike and say, press 1 to accept this call, or, whatever that may be. Once that call is accepted, then we are going to essentially pass over the Cloudonix session ID, and then basically we're going to create a conference call between the caller, the agent, and Mike, as an example. And then once that's done, the agent drops off, and then Mike and the caller end up speaking together. Does that make sense? Hopefully I explained that right. Nir, feel free to jump in.
No, it's okay. You walked through it bit by bit. It's awesome. This is exactly the idea. So the idea here is to create the classic attended transfer that 99.9% of businesses are accustomed to. So most businesses, when they think of a receptionist, this is what they think of. Somebody gets the call, and then they call me to figure out if I'm available or not. And only then they will transfer the call to me. Or if I say that I can't take the call, then they will not take the call and something else will happen. And this is what we want to do. So the first thing we need to do in order to make sure that everything is set up the right way is right now, Alex, I need to give me the API key for the agent and the agent ID so I can connect our phone number to the agent.
Sounds good. So let's do that. I'm going to create just a sample key just for this so I can delete it afterward.
Right.
Just because you guys are all going to see this. Okay, so I'm going to want to put this in the chat here. And we're going to create this agent here. Oops. Let me add the prompt. This is going to be the agent that we're going to be using here.
Awesome.
So let me just fill out this prompt here. Already had one that already had started.
Okay.
I'm going to keep this prompt just very, very basic. I think what we just want to see is the whole transferring, and then you guys can just change that.
Right.
Okay. I'm
Okay, so while Alex is getting our agent ready, I want to show you exactly what happens right now on Cloudonix. So as I said, yeah. So as I said, basically we have, so Cloudonix has this mechanism called container applications. Container applications are effectively a serverless engine, very much similar to AWS Lambda or GCP App Engine, if you're familiar with them. And the idea is that we can run a small JavaScript inside Cloudonix without the need of having your own server. Why is this good? I know that a lot of you are using platforms such as N8N and Zapier and Make and so on, but sometimes that's a little bit bloated, at least for something so small that what we need here just to handle the inbound call. So here, basically, we're doing it inside a container application. What we're doing here is effectively we're receiving the inbound call. We're extracting some information out of it, specifically the caller ID, the from, the to, where we're down to, the Cloudonix session. And this part is extremely important because we're going to use that in the requests to what we call transfer the calls, or to be more accurate, to switch applications and to fork the calls. And we're going to show you exactly what that means. And the domain. A domain is an internal thing to Cloudonix. Basically, every application, every customer has multiple domains. I'll show you, for example, here. So you can see that I here have one domain, but I can create additional domains. Every domain is its own logical unit. Domains don't mix. Information from one domain to another will not traverse. At least if you're not, let's say, saying it in a specific manner through some kind of code, it will not traverse from one side to the other, and they will not be shared. So I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to assign this phone number to this JavaScript application. It's an update. So now I have the inbound call to retail block. I'm going to come here. I'm going to change the setting here. Change the application. But here we go. Now we're set.
Thank you for calling Retail Tech Services. This is Laura. How may I help you?
Okay, so we have our inbound call. It checks out and everything connects the right way. And I will really appreciate it if someone can please, if you're in the US, please dial to this number. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Thank you for letting me know. Just to clarify, are you?
No, I don't need you to talk anymore. So if anybody can call this number just to verify, that'll be great. Everybody everybody called, working. Great. Awesome. Thanks, Quentin. Okay. So now, Alex, I'm going to stop my share. Let's have a look at the retail dashboard. Okay. Let's look at the calls. Let's make sure that the calls got the information that we passed through, just to make sure that everything is in there.
So we got the Cloudonix destination, the caller ID, the domain,
and the token. Awesome. So now we're going to do, I'm going to create. So I'm going to return the screen over to me. So I'm going to create an API key here. I'm going to call it retail API key. And I'm going to put it in here, copy it. And now what we're going to do a very, very, very simple cold transfer. We're going to start with that just to make sure that everything works the right way. Okay. Alex will need to create an agent tool to activate a specific API on our side. In this case, the API is called Switch Voice Application. What Switch Voice Application does, it will take the inbound call. So think about it this way. Every call has one inbound leg, okay, and one outbound leg. Yes, Tony, that is free PBX. You're absolutely correct. And the Switch Voice Application does, it says, okay, I'm going to take the original leg that dialed in. This is the owner, leg A, okay? I'll say, I will disconnect it from leg B. I'll just throw it away, in this case, the agent, and I'm going to move it somewhere new. I'm going to tell it to do a completely new voice application. So inside Cloudonix, everything is a voice application. Routing to retail is a voice application. So the objective here is going to be to tell the agent, to give the agent the capability to activate the Switch Voice Application on Cloudonix using the session token that was provided in the inbound call. and simply moving the call somewhere else.
Just creating a custom function. I'm just going to be using N8N for this. This is how we're going to be triggering this. So all I'm doing here is I'm actually going to be change this here called transfer tool. I'm just going to create a simple webhook. So it's like that. It's going to be a post. I'm just going to grab that post URL, and I'm just going to paste this back in here. What parameters do we need to pass here?
So the only parameter you need to pass is the extension you want to transfer to, and the token, of course, in the parameters in the metadata that we created. Yes.
So just take a look at the call history here. That's it.
There we go.
So there is the token.
You need the token. You just need the token, basically.
Okay. So technically on this function, we don't even need to pass any parameters because we already have that as part of the call. So we can always access those at any time during the function. So I'm going to leave this called transfer just like that. Again, there's no need for parameters because we have those when the call was starting. So we have them as dynamic variables. Okay. So, and yeah, so let me see. I'm just going to use transfer and then step 4, which is going to trigger that function. Just like that. Let me go ahead and publish this, and then we can go ahead and test this out. I believe it's this one.
By the way, guys, I can see some people talk about free PBX and so on. I have to be fully candid. If you will look up my name on the internet, and you'll see my name associated with open source projects such as Asterisk and Camelio and FreeSwitch and so on. If you dig into the Asterisk code, you'll also find my name in some source code files. So if you have questions about Asterisk, you're welcome to point them at me as well.
So let me just go ahead and give this a call, and then we'll go ahead and trigger that function there. And then we'll keep going.
Thank you for calling Retail Tax Services. This is Laura. How may I help you?
Hey, Laura, can I talk to Mike? I need to file my taxes.
Of course. Just to confirm, you'd like to speak with Mike about filing your taxes, is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for confirming. I'll transfer you to Mike now so he can help you with filing your taxes. Please hold for just a moment.
Yep, that was it, because here we have, right? So here's all the information that we need there. So I'm just going to copy this to our editor. And now we have our Cloudonix destination. We got me, this is my phone number, and then we have our domain and token there.
Basically, I'm going to take, so this is like the simplest possible ever way of doing a transfer, like cold transfer, straightforward. So I'm going to take this curl request. I'm going to put it in the chat so Alex can take a look at it and combine it into his code.
Perfect.
Okay. By the way, the API playground on our developer website, it gives you access to all the APIs so you can play around with them and see how they work and exactly what they do. Okay, so Alex, I'll let you return to your screen. Here is the fact that you get proper feedback as to the fact that a transfer really occurred, not just saying, okay, transfer the call and then it doesn't happen. So the transfer right now that we're doing is a really simple cold transfer. But once we get this working and this done, we'll move into the attended transfer, which is a little bit more complicated in terms of the workflow. But at the end of the day, the customer experience of what they work with is much smoother on one hand and is much more akin to what customers and businesses are accustomed to.
Now, so I just imported that curl command that that Nir posted there. And we need to replace this token, right? And this token is the one that we got at the start of our call. So all I got to do is grab this Cloudonix token and just literally pop this in here. Okay, let me put it in the right spot. Remove that.
Yeah.
Goes right there.
Yep.
Make sure I have these spaces.
Yep. Looks right. Bear token. Yep. Everything looks right.
Response. Can you tell them like what this?
Okay, so if
What-
any of you ever used Twilio, basically what I'm saying here, I'm providing the switch voice application. I'm giving it a new application to execute, saying take the inbound call, which is basically the caller, the customer, and just give him a new place to go to. In this case, I'm going to dial extension 1000. Extension 1000 is on my desk, is the idea.
Okay, so everything looks good here, right? We initiate this cold bound. I believe you were responding at the end. So when the last node finishes,
Yes.
it's not immediate. So we need to respond there.
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and save this.
Somebody says, can you maybe state what retail can do with native call transfer function and what is the advanced features that Cloudonix can do if retail's native function call sign does not meet the needs? Okay.
So yeah, and I can talk about that because we use sometimes the default, but for example, we have this particular client here to mortgage, and the default transfer. Actually, let me make a copy of this because I don't want to mess this up.
Alan, to answer your question, when you do a call transfer with Cloudonix, basically retail is going to get completely disconnected from the call. So there will be no more additional charges on the call. And if the PBX is connected directly to Cloudonix, it means that the outbound call to the PBX itself is free of charge because it's not going into the telephony network at all.
Also, on retail side of things, you're kind of limited. Like on a cold transfer, it's okay. It's fine, right? You can go ahead and pass the transferee's number. However, the issue comes when you need to do a warm transfer. At least that's the one that we use the most. When you do need to do a warm transfer and you need to pass the caller's number, or you need to get usually pass the caller's number, that becomes a problem. When you're working with like call centers, or a lot of people use, like we use BC dial, Vici dial, however you want to call it. Or other systems like dial pad as an example, or maybe ready mode. Sometimes you need the caller's number because the caller's number, it's what's used to make a little pop-up on their system, right? So that the agents, whoever they're working with, that little pop-up comes up and they can see all of the caller's information and then kind of know where the conversation's at. With native retail, it doesn't work that way. It's going to show you the retail number. So that's a problem, right? Because that's not going to work for the agents on the other side. Like again, like with dial pad, it's a perfect example. So those are some of the benefits of using Cloudonix. It gives us finer control over that. And I don't know if you have anything else to say regarding that there. Yeah.
There's a lot of advantages apart from, being able to control the caller ID. You can enrich the actual call with more information. So depending on the contact center platform, let's say you want to connect to a Cosmocom or a Genesis or some high-end contact center, Vici Dial and all of these tools are great. But there are other platforms which integrate a lot of tools into them. And Cloudonix gives you the ability to start adding all kinds of SIP headers into the call. You can create call flows that happen before the transfer. For example, maybe some DTMFs. You can create all kinds of punishment systems. For example, let's say you have 2 or 3 different call centers and the AI is supposed to distribute the calls between them according to some kind of logic that says this one is better performing than the other one. This is normal for BPOs, business processing outsourced companies. So you can do that, where today inside a static agent, you just can't do that.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
Lee, yes, you can actually store data inside the Cloudonix session and then use it in the transfers.
So I'm going to go ahead and give it a call now.
Give it a call.
Thank you for calling Retail Tax Services. This is Laura. How may I help you?
Hello, I need to speak to Mike regarding filing my taxes.
Thank you for letting me know. Just to confirm, you'd like to speak with Mike about filing your taxes, is that right? Is
Yeah.
there anything specific about your tax filing you'd like Mike to know before I transfer you?
I don't want to pay taxes. So however Jeff Bezos does it, that's how I want to do it.
Thank you for sharing that. I understand you're looking for ways to minimize your tax liability, similar to how some high-profile individuals manage their taxes. Mike will be the best person to discuss legal strategies. Thank you for calling Retail Tax Services. This is Laura. How may I help you?
Hey, Laura, I need to speak to Mike regarding filing my corporate taxes. It's like 2 years overdue.
Thank you.
Hello. Yep.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
to answer Whale, in layman's terms, Twilio and Cloudonix come from a similar philosophy, where the primary difference is that Cloudonix doesn't provide you phone numbers or call minutes. So you're able to connect to any carrier you want, any on-premise, cloud, PBX system that you may have. You can bring your numbers, you can give whatever you want. The idea is that we're able to attach whatever communication system that you have that supports voice over IP and SIP. We're able to attach to it and literally slap on top of them all of our APIs to enable you to what you want to do. So that is the primary difference. Okay, so now we got the basic cold forwarding, and it works the right way. Now we can start working on the second part. The second part basically will talk about generating a call from the agent before the actual transfer and playing back a message. Okay, so Alex, in order to do this, we need to change the request. Question now, Alex, can the agent change its behavior after something happens?
Yeah, as long as we respond with, because it's just a constant function, right? So as long as we respond with something, yeah, should be able to. I don't see why not.
So what I'm thinking of doing is something in the form of the call comes in, we then fork the call into two different sessions. The first session, which is our customer, will be put into a conference room and we'll start hearing music. Okay, and then the second part of the call, which is the agent, is going to call Mike. And then when the question is, can the agent in this case understand that it's now talking to Mike and not talking to the customer?
We can test it out. That's interesting.
That's an
I haven't
interesting
tested that out.
Yeah, we've never done anything like that. Okay. Okay.
Is it possible to add a summary there as well before the call gets connected?
Sorry?
Is it possible to add a summary of the call before it gets transferred? It's a warm transfer, right? When it is a warm
we're doing
transfer.
a warm transfer. Yes. So the idea here that we're going to create a call that will go to the something. Let's not do what that. Let's do it the other way around. So the first thing we're going to do a transfer. Okay, we're going to transfer the caller into a conference room, and he's going to start hearing music. Then we're going to issue a request to retail to start a new call and dial the agent, the dial Mike. So just a normal outbound call.
Yeah, I think that might be better.
Yes. And then, so on retail, there is a way to generate a call using an API, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so go back into N8N, and this is what you're going to do.
Sorry, guys, can I ask a quick question here?
Sure.
So the second agent that is going to dial Mike, in our use case, he needs to have some summary of a call with a customer, right?
It's not really a summary. It's basically what it will need to have is the message that needs to be played back, or it's kind of like a summary of what happened. But
like
that
I have
is
here
already
Mike, and he
available.
doesn't want to pay his tax. Not Mike, but I have Alex, and he doesn't want to pay his tax. Can you help him? Do you have time now?
Something in that form, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was
So
getting sure.
maybe we should collect what we can do is, because we can collect the summary before we or as part of that function, right? We can collect the summary and pass that over, because then we're creating a yeah, I think I got it. So let's maybe go through that and then we can see, right? What I'm thinking, and Nir, you stop me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is here in this function, we don't really need to pass anything, but one thing that we could pass is just a call summary.
Yes. Yes.
So we can just simply
absolutely.
pass that call summary.
Yes.
So I am gonna be adding some parameters to this, and let me just. So I'm just gonna copy some JSON schema, and I'm gonna change this. This is from another one, but this is gonna be call summary. It's just gonna be a string, and this is.
Taylor, what do you mean by warm transferring an outbound call, as in transferring to somebody's mobile device?
Call summary, just like that. I think that should be fine. Save this. I'm gonna publish this. Oh, actually, this is, what are we doing? Inbound? Yeah, this is inbound. Yeah. Okay, and I'm quickly just gonna create another agent here that just gonna create a new agent where this is the agent that's gonna be calling Mike in this example. Oh wait, what did I do? A conversational flow builder. That is not what I wanted to do. Perfect. I'm just gonna choose Susan just to stay
Taylor, that's
consistent.
the idea, yes.
And then, I mean, what we need to do is just tell the summary.
Yep.
And I'm going to use our dynamic variables. So we use called summary. Something like that. So I'm going to keep it real simple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to publish this. This is going to be an outbound call. I'm just going to select the member here. And that should be good. So now, what we want to do is create an outbound call directly from here, right? Now?
Well, not yet, not yet. You need to edit that one. You need to edit it, yeah. And instead of what you have in there, where it says dial, the 10,000, remove the 10,000.
Can I edit in this? Oh, duh.
Okay, remove the 10,000. Open a new XML element, which is called conference. Conference, and then close it. And in between, put the token, the Cloudonix token that you received. Right. Okay. Now, okay, save it. Now you need to initiate the new call, the outbound call from retail.
Okay, and to do that, I'm just going to go to the retail feature. I'm just going to go ahead and build it directly from here. So we're going to be using the create a phone call endpoint.
Right.
I'm going to click try it. I'm just going to fill this out with some of that information. Let me just grab my API key here. I'm just going to paste them. And then from number is going to be the agent number. We just assigned it. So call Mike. Wait a minute. What number did I assign? Okay, this one
What
here.
happens if you don't put a number in there? You just say
It's
the agent
required.
number. What, it's required?
Yeah, we need a
Right.
from number. It's required.
Okay, fine. I wasn't sure.
I'm just going to delete this here. And
And
then
two
two
numbers, 10,000, but using a number purchased from retail, only U.S. numbers are supported as destination. Well, this one needs to be 10,000. I don't know if the API will receive that. Let's have a look. Okay. Scroll down. And you promise storage, and you can put anything like customer IDs. Retail LLM. Okay, so in the dynamic variables, do we need dynamic variables? Yes, we do need the dynamic variables here, which is the original token, because we'll need to basically that's going to be used as the call it Cloudonix conference room, Cloudonix conference.
the name of the variable.
Yeah, the name of the variable is going to be Cloudonix conference, and it's going to include the token from the previous request. Cloudonix conference. If it goes here.
I'll swap this.
Okay. I got an idea. Put here, add another one, add a new property, and call it Cloudonix agent. And this is going to be 10,000. The agent number, okay, or Mike's number or whatever. And metadata. Scroll down. That seems about it.
Now, what about the two number though? We need this two number.
The two number is supposed to be 10,000, but I think, wait a minute, for this particular call, over the agent used with this agent ID, this does not bind the agent to this number. This is for time override for one time. Okay, so, okay. Awesome. In the two number, you can use the original caller ID that came in, plus one, from the previous session.
Okay. So something like this.
Yes, and one more thing I want you to do is I want you to scroll down to the LLM variables. I want you to add another LLM variable, which is going to be Cloudonix caller ID, which is basically going to be the caller ID that you originally got in the first call, because we want to present it to the agent.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and import this.
Right. This is going to be interesting.
Alex, can you paste this also in chat, please?
The what way me to paste in the chat?
That's what you just copied.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you guys will have this workflow too. So you guys will get this after, but yes, where's my chat here? Now from this, we don't actually need, we don't need an agent override because we're already assigned an agent, so we don't really need that. And let me execute the previous note here.
Right. By the way, guys, if any of you are looking at our developer website and you have questions or something isn't clear, there's a little bit of a blue button at the lower right side of the screen, which report issue or mistake, and just submit whatever is not clear on any page. So we'll be able to fix it.
So you're calling the retail API, so a 555 is on your own free PBX. So how's retail going to know that?
Well, basically, retail is so right now the 212.804 number is assigned to a SIP trunk on Cloudonix. So it is bound when you do the from number. That one it is bound to dial back to Cloudonix automatically.
Wouldn't their API have to know that though?
No, it's assigned by the from number. That's how they build it.
I had a quick question. For the regular retail call timeout, right? Is there a call timeout when it transfers? So like for the cold?
That's a great question. There's definitely not an option. I don't know what the default timeout for it is. I can find out.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Or is there a way to set it so the scenario I'm running into is their voicemail picks up, but so they're like, oh yeah, let me talk to an agent or a person, right? And so I want to set it before the voicemail goes off that it's a failed one, so that it continues the conversation in here and gets their info and sends them a message.
Okay. Yeah, let me find out what that timeout is.
Or if there's a way to set it.
And to answer your question there, it's the ring direction. Technically, that's the timeout.
What's the ring direction? Just up here.
Wait a minute.
Is that on doing a call transfer, right? Or like transfer to the office?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if I set that ring direction to like even let's say 5 seconds, I think is the default, it still keeps going.
It still keeps going. Okay. Do you have a call ID?
Okay.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Thank you for calling.
Agent ID.
Okay, it's working again.
Oh, it is.
Okay. They fixed it.
Nice. Here, why don't you do this? You can see that in a bit.
Okay. So where did we stop?
Just trying to make the call. So
Yeah.
Let's see.
Thank you for calling
I
Retail
need to talk to
Tech.
Mike about filing my taxes. Can you transfer me right away?
Hello, how can I help you today? The caller would like to speak with Mike about
No,
finding their taxes
no,
and request
no.
an immediate transfer.
Sorry. No.
We're sorry. The agent can't take your call right now. We'll notify them and they will be back to you as soon as possible. Goodbye.
All
Thank you
right.
No, I will notify the caller that the agent is currently.
I need to add an end call to that one, but yeah.
Yeah. You need to after the initiate to close that one as well. That's it. That's the entire flow.
All right.
So from the top.
Like for example, that number that you used, right? That number is not a retail number. So how do we get that?
So basically, you can get the number from any provider that you want. You just hook it up from the provider into Cloudonix. You can get it from Twilio, Plivo, Telnix, whatever you want. Just push it into Cloudonix. The minute you push it into Cloudonix and from there to retail, you have full control over the call control. So you can control anything. Then we hooked up the PBX system to Cloudonix as well. So Cloudonix is aware of that as well. So now you can send calls both internally and externally and receive calls. So you have the entire network at your disposal from that perspective. And once you have that, you can go in and simply do the entire workflow that we talked about, putting the caller in the conference room, moving them around, and controlling where they are at every given second.
So the number was imported into Cloudonix, right? So
Yes.
that's how we initiated it. And then from Cloudonix, you're registering a phone call, or because I'm calling the number in Cloudonix, and Cloudonix is registering a phone call directly to retail. Can you show
Correct.
that, please?
Yes, I'll share my screen. Okay, so share. Here we go. So the first thing, so let's start from the beginning. Let's go here. So okay, so let's talk about applications. Here we go. So the first call comes to this phone number. Okay, and it activates this container application, which is called the inbound call to retail webhook. The inbound call to retail webhook is effectively this one. So as you can see, I'm actually initiating a webhook towards retail register phone call with the information of from, to, session, and domain. I receive back a call ID, and I simply return back to Cloudonix a new CXML script that says, here is the caller ID, here's the provider retail, and the call ID came in from retail. And I'm actually asking Cloudonix to perform that dial out. Now, if I go here into sessions, you can see this call coming into the caller ID, into the specific phone number. And we can see that it got executed and got transferred into retail. Where is that? Trunk, order. You can see it going into the border. This is all the information that's related to quality of service. You can see the execution. Okay, and that's the old one. That's the switch actually that happened at the end already. But you can see the execution of the first webhook here. Okay.
Okay. So just to clarify, right? We will add a phone number to Cloudonix, register the phone number.
Right.
We're then creating an application that's essentially going to be creating that outbound call, or registering that phone call. Registering that phone call,
and then routing it into retail.
Okay.
Once that flow is completed, basically the call is connected to retail. At some point, the agent will try to transfer the call to the agent.
Using, like, for example, we were just using an N8N, right? So
Exactly. So you can use N8N or whatever you want to use.
Right. So now that we handled that at first in Cloudonix, that first portion. So now the other portion is what we're connecting. Let me see. The call transfer tool, right? It's that tool that we build, right? So if we go back to retail, our original agent that we had here, we made that tool, this function called call transfer.
Right.
And all we passed it on there was just a summary, just so that we can use that.
Exactly.
But then that's based on this particular workflow here, which I'm going to delete this because we don't need this.
Right.
We receive that data to this workflow.
Mm-hmm.
We then initiate that cold. We initiate that cold transfer there, right?
Of the caller, of the customer. We initiate a cold transfer of the customer into a conference call.
Okay. So initiate the call.
Yeah, we're putting the caller, the customer into a conference call. The next step is we create a new session on retail. We register a new call on retail with all the relevant information that includes the conference number, all the things the LLM needs, and the transcript, the summary of the previous call. So the agent will know what it needs to talk about.
And this registered phone call is to that person, right? To Mike, right? This is where we're registering the call out to Mike, or whoever that person is going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, in the next step, what we're doing, we're actually asking Cloudonix to initiate a call to Mike, which is the agent located at 10,000, and connected back to retail, where the connection to retail is performed, where previously we were using a CXML script. Now we're using an a Cloudonix application. We created basically we created an application on Cloudonix that is called Inbound to Human Agent. You can see that there is no phone number assigned to it. It just exists. Okay. And this is, again, a container application. The container application, here what it actually does. Go back. Inbound call to agent. You see this very similar, but I'm actually sending, again, information that is, for example, the Cloudonix original token and the retail summary. And I'm getting this information basically from the actual request that came from Cloudonix, from N8N. If you remember, we had this. You stopped sharing your screen. Alex, can you share your screen again?
Yeah.
By the way, we can both share and switch at the same time. I just noticed we can do that. So, watch. If I do present now, window, this. Okay, now if I do present, and oh, that's weird. It allowed me to switch periods. Did you stop presenting?
Well, technically, I'm still sharing.
Okay, that's weird. Previously, it showed me a different button. Weird. Anyway, okay. So, okay, I'll stop this. So, show the N8N screen from your side. So, the HTTP request, the last one, show it here. So you can see that we're actually calling an application UUID here. This is the UUID assigned to the container application on Cloudonix. Okay? And once that is initiated with the profile variables, basically Cloudonix takes that, initiates a call to the PBX system to extension 10,000. Let me share that again so you'll see it. So what the container application does, sorry. So remember we got these variables from the request previously. So basically we create the registration on retail. We get a call ID, and then we simply dial to the agent, which is 10,000. And then once the agent picks up, we dial again into retail. Simple as that. And once the agent on the other side picks up, it already knows what to do. And once you're in there, basically it gives you the yes/no question. And based on your response, it will activate the relevant tool from that specific agent. That's the idea. And okay, the yes or no answer, basically each one activates a different tool.
Yeah, so if it transfer me, right, then we're gonna do this connect to conference. Where we receive that data, just the same tool that we built. And then we basically, here we're connecting both calls, the caller and the...
Correct. Now, the thing that needs to you need to pay attention to are, the first token, the first session token, and the session token, to understand each one, what you need to do at each point. Should I, do I need to transfer this one, or do I need to transfer that one? Because a yes and a no, each one means something a little different.
Okay.
That's basically it. Basically, the no means that you operate on the original token, and the yes means that you operate on the new token. But you need to connect to a conference that comes from the previous token. So it's a little bit of a funky flow. I think there are like a lot of improvements that can be done here. Potentially even optimizing for specific storage, like doing some kind of memory storage on NA10 and saying, okay, the conference is here, and then I can query NA10, regardless of, I don't need to pass that much information. Maybe I could pass it differently. Potentially using real phone numbers for the agents. So, for example, you can transfer to a mobile phone number. You don't have to transfer to an agent on a PBX. I'm confident it will take like 5 to 6 minutes just to set up, an outbound trunk, and then doing calls outbound and just transferring to somebody's cell phone. Shouldn't be much of an issue there. You can do queuing. You can do all sorts of things, load balancing, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that can be done. So, and now it's just, the framework is identical. It's just how you start shaping and molding into what you want to do.
Okay. Ivana or Michael? I guess, does this solve what you guys were trying to do? Yeah. You have a question, Ivana? You're muted.
I think we
can't hear.
class-wise.
Sorry, we are completely new to Cloudonix, so you just say connect phone number to Cloudonix. But I tried to, I created an account just for this purpose, but I don't know how to connect a number at all. Can you, from Twilio, for example?
Yes. So let me show you. So amazing. I just created that tutorial 2 days ago.
Well, if it is available somewhere, I can check it out later.
Yeah, I'll show you. So on our developer website, if you go into integration and you go into telephony services, ta-da! You have all the entire process of how to hook up a Cloudonix, your Cloudonix account to your Elastic SIP trunk or BYOC SIP trunk.
Okay, great.
Technically speaking, an Elastic SIP trunk is preferred. It works faster on one hand, and it will perform better. A BYOC SIP trunk is basically you'll need to write additional call control inside Twilio, which is kind of redundant in that respect. So you can use Twilio. There's also one for Telnix.
Great.
There's one for Zadarma. There's even one for Etisalcom. I have no idea what it says Zadarma here. I think I need to change this. Wow, I need to fix this. This is completely wrong. So that's that. There will be another tutorial that I'll be publishing hopefully by the end of the week. It is the end of the week right now. Which is Plivo. Plivo we already connected as well. If you have a PBX system such as 3CX, you can go to telephony products. So there's a 3CX integration manual. If you're using FreePBX or Asterisk, there's one here as well.
Okay, great.
So there's a lot of information here. The best thing, again, if you're having issues, just log on to our Discord, and we're there like most time of the day.
Okay, great. Just one more quick question. When you shared your screen, you had these inbound settings and outbound settings, but I don't see that in my account or dashboard. Do I become that when I connect really a number, or?
You should be able to see inbound trunks and outbound trunks in your account.
I can share my screen if you.
Yeah, please.
That's exactly what I see. So
Because you need to go into the domain. You see, if you click on domains, you'll see the first domain. I'll show you.
Domain. Okay.
Watch. So this is what you're seeing, right?
Yep.
Okay. You see this here, the domains?
Mm-hmm.
If you click on it, you see your domains.
Okay.
If you click on your domain, so here's something you need to understand about Cloudonix. So in Cloudonix, there are a lot of what we call data models or resources. The topmost resource is your account. This is you, the owner. This is like the topmost. All the entire control, everything. Under your account, you have domains. Every domain is its own logical unit. Inbound trunks, outbound trunks, voice applications, phone numbers, API keys, all of that are part of a domain because it's like a workspace.
Yeah.
Okay, that compartments everything for you in a very secured manner so that things don't start moving from left to right. That's the idea. The only resource that exists at the account level, which can be shared across multiple domains, is container applications.
Mm-hmm.
Because container applications are supposed to be more dynamic and they should be able to work with a lot of domains at the same time if you write them the right way. But that's the idea.
Okay, great.
One little recommendation to get around the idea of how to work with Cloudonix. When you log on our developer website, there's the quick start guide.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like go through your first application guide. It should take no more than 40 minutes. That's it. But it will give you a really good understanding of how Cloudonix works.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I have one question that our clients are asking us. So
hey guys, sorry, I'm gonna just really quick. I gotta hop off. I have another call to go to. But I'm you guys should still be able to be here. I don't think if I end the call, it ends. I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
No.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Yeah.
The workflows, guys. You can just message me on LinkedIn. Like I already know, like Michael and Vanna, so I'll send you guys the N8N workflows. But if anyone wants them, I'll add them to both the Notion, and then you can just message me, and I'll send you the workflows. Okay. And then next week we're going to be going over the new chat feature for retail, right? So now we can create chat bots. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that and how to connect it to different systems. So just really quick on that, okay? So sorry, I got to hop off.
Alex,
Thank you guys.
Real quick question, hey, about that. Can I just send you that that little agent or whatever to take a peek at? Why that?
Yeah.
I'll send that to you a little later.
Perfect. Awesome, guys. I at my LinkedIn, you can just message me. I'll send you the workflows. Thank you guys so much, and
Awesome.
then see you guys next Wednesday. Okay.
Thank you.
See you, Alex. Yeah.
So my question was, when we connect customer with an agent, in our case, Mike, is our voice agent still somewhere behind so that can transcript the whole call, or he gets out of the call?
So in what we just showed, the agent is out of the loop completely. But you can, if you want to transcribe, you don't really need an agent, because inside Cloudonix you can record the call, and then at the end of the call take the recording, using it and just putting it into something like Assembly AI or something like that. That's option number one. Option number two, if you're not afraid of writing a little bit of code, you can use Cloudonix's streaming capabilities, and you can literally stream out the audio of the call in real time. A third option will be to create a conference call where both the agent, the customer, and the human agent talk together, and the AI agent is muted, and he's only listening. Then it analyzes and whatever. So all three options are available. It's just a question of how you want to do it. The added value of the of the one that has the conference call with the agent is inside is that Yeah, the third option, you're right. It will be far more expensive, absolutely, because the AI is always there. But the added value is that you can use that also for sentiment analysis in real time. You can use it, but using something like retail or a similar platform to do exactly that is a little bit of an overkill.
Mm.
There are other tools that you can do it better and far more economically. Yeah, even a localized, language model for transcription purposes will be more than efficient for that specific purpose.
Yeah.
I think that an interesting use case in that respect will be an agent that it knows how to mute and unmute itself based on the context of what two other people are talking. For example, like a personal assistant that says, let's say you're a lawyer, and you can talk to the agent. It will only unmute itself based on your command. Example, you'll be able to do that, and that's pretty cool.
In this case, do I need to create some third call, or how to keep an agent also in this conference?
So one of the APIs that Cloudonix has is called a fork. So previously we used the switch voice application, which basically, so a switch voice application takes, so if that's leg one, leg A, the inbound, and this is the outbound, okay? So a switch voice application takes the inbound, takes it somewhere else, and takes the outbound and just throws it away, okay? Because he's gone. A fork basically says, okay, I got leg A, I got leg B, so let's split them apart, and each one goes into a new application.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the new application can connect them both into a conference call, but now I can control each one independently.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's used for. So in your use case, what you described, what I would do instead of a simple, what we did, like a transfer into a conference call that played music, what I would do a switch, take both sides, put them into a conference call,
Okay.
initiate the third one, have the agent and the customer still talking while the copy of the agent is talking to the human agent, then bringing them back. While the original agent still has the full context of what the conversation is.
Mm-hmm.
So there are all kinds of ways, that's the beautiful part about Cloudonix, is that it doesn't take, so a lot of the communication platforms are what we call opinionated. So they force and they impose their own opinion as to how your business is supposed to work when it comes to communications. Cloudonix takes a more open approach, saying, no, you have your own business, you know how your business works. So we should be able to provide you with all the primitives to allow you to create the workflows that you want to create to make sure they work the right way. That's the idea.
Okay, great. Just one more, question. Can you also provide this code that you wrote for container applications? Because I'm not.
It's on our website. So here's the beautiful part. And this is where you guys can help us, okay? Okay, so on our developer website, okay, you see there's a lot of information. It doesn't look like much, but there are over 300 different pages in here of information. It is very, very extensive. Now, if there's something you don't know how to do, or you are unsure or something, the best place to ask questions will be our Discord. Absolutely. But if there is a page here where you look at it and you have no idea what it means, then always click here and say, I'm in this page, blah, 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 and I don't get it. It's not that clear. And this way we can always improve. That's number one. Number two is that if there's a specific use case that is interesting, then definitely, report it, and we can definitely look at how to implement it, or at least give the path, the document of how to do it. Some scenarios are easier to document, some are incredibly complex. For example, the attended transfer that we just did is relatively complex to explain, because the closest thing I have here, for example, for a document, is this voice application. So take this, for example, Clinic IVR.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a full-blown example of how to build a clinic office answering system, which includes the press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and then routing into external agents and all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is one type of tutorial, and shows a lot of the skeletons here on how to do things and explains the entire process. Another tutorial is this one, outbound notifications. So this is an automated dialer that you can create using Cloudonix. So sometimes you don't need the entire, thing of how should I generate 1,000 calls to people. So there's the entire workflow here. Here, this one is actually implemented. I think I showed this example using Make and a lot of session updates processor, the input processor, how to use it, and so on. Another example is this one, call tracking. This one is this is a little outdated, but still interesting as a concept. You can learn a lot from this one. So that's that. Again, so what you need to do is just go through the documentation and look for specific things. If they're missing, the best thing is just, to give us all raise a ticket, or raise your hand saying, hey, would be great if we had so and so.
Yeah, we will definitely do that.
And that's the only way that we can get better at helping you guys. That's the idea.
Of course. Okay. Yeah, I would say that's it from my side.
Okay. So, okay, Ralph, I have no idea how I can let you talk.
Oh, yeah. So I do have one question because
Sure.
currently we are passing the transcript and the recording to our CRM. Since we are incorporating the Cloudonix, are we able also to get the recording uh from the agent there going to our CRM?
You mean the recording?
I mean,
the
like the complete, since we are transferring, we are creating a conference call, right?
Mhm. It doesn't really matter, because the call, the agent. So you'll have two different conference calls. That's number
Mhm.
one. If you're doing that special, if you're doing the attended transfer, but regardless, retail will be recording that. So if you're pulling the recording out of retail, it'll be the exact same thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's it.
Anybody else? This is the time to ask all your questions.
Hi, Nir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. I would like to find out the configuration of the free PBX you have there. How does it integrate with Cloudonix?
Oh, that's pretty easy. Hold on, let me show you. So one thing about Cloudonix is that people, every time I show this to people, they're a little bit overwhelmed, is that sending calls into Cloudonix doesn't require any type of configuration. Every domain you create has what we call an inbound calls host name. You just use it to send calls into Cloudonix, and it will automatically find their way into your domain. That's it. You don't need to configure anything. Outbound trunks are used to send calls from Cloudonix to the world or to a remote PBX system. One of the two. Okay? Up to here, you're with me, yes?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
follow.
Right. Now, on the free PBX side, I simply created a trunk, which is called in the same name as my inbound trunk. As my inbound host name has the same name.
Yeah.
In the PJ SIP settings, I put the SIP server to be the same one.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only change that I did was in the context, I move it from PSTN to from internal. So it behaves like an internal extension. It is being processed as if it's dialing from a phone that is connected to the PBX. If I would have done here context equals from PSTN, then calls would have been processed as if coming from the world instead of from internal.
Okay.
That's it. That's the entire integration.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then the import of a number. So let's assume I buy a number from Twilio. I see on your documentation that there is an integration with Twilio. Can you explain that? How do I?
Yeah. So
because all I know is Twilio when it comes to telephony, Twilio, Vonage, those are the few.
Well, the process in general is relatively identical. So if you look at Twilio, for example, where's the documentation? Migrations, Twilio. So let's assume you go through the entire setup using Elastic SIP trunking, and you're now configured to you're now able to traverse calls between Cloudonix and Twilio. The only thing you need to do on Twilio is effectively to buy a number and assign it to the trunk. That's it. Saying, okay, here's the number, and just push it over there, and you're done. That's the entire idea. Telnix has a similar capability. Plivo has a similar capability. It's all very similar.
Okay.
So let's see if I can log on to my Twilio account. So I'll show you.
So if I have to use the number, do I recharge my number through Twilio, for credits and the likes?
If you buy the number from Twilio, yeah, you need to charge it. They provide it to you, so you have to pay them. So we don't charge for numbers because we don't provide numbers.
Oh, okay.
So let's see. Voice, Elastic SIP trunking, manage trunks. See, so this is our Elastic trunk, for example, from Twilio to Cloudonix. Okay, so for example, we'll go in here. You can see it. If I go into numbers, I can say add a number. I have no numbers here, so I'll buy a new one, for example. Buy a number. Now let's say I'm going to buy this one for sake of simplicity. Buy. Okay, agree. Fine. All of it. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to say configure. Okay, add a number. Add an existing number. Here's my number. I'm selected. View details. And basically now this number is assigned to my SIP trunk. So the minute it gets called, it says here, you see voice configuration, says, okay, it needs to go there. So what I can do here, I'll go into my voice numbers, manage active numbers. So this is my number here.
Yeah.
And I can tell it here instead of webhook. It's proxy. Yeah. Default. Configure with 12 app. Oh, okay. So they want me basically to create some kind of app that will route the call to wherever it needs to go, basically. So that's something that you need to set up, and that's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'll check it out.
See, good figures. Yep. Yeah, I'll release the number because we don't need it.
Mhm.
Other systems such as, for example, Plivo and so on are easier to use. Others can be a little bit more complex.
Mhm.
So if you run into a problem and you're not sure, again, Discord is the best place to ask.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, me again. I just wanted to confirm, I'm not sure if I followed the workflow correctly. So we are calling the agent in one phone number, and when our agent is dialing the human, are we dialing from the same number to which we call the agent, or is this some other number?
It's up to you.
Okay, so we can use the same number.
You can use the same number. You can use internal numbers. You can use
Whatever.
Yeah, as long as your carrier or your system, the system you're connected to allows you, you can use any number you want.
Okay, great. Great.
The only limitation is the basic limitation that existed, as you saw, is that, for example, retail will not generate calls outbound to numbers that are not full E164 compliant numbers. So that's why we shifted to using Cloudonix's outbound call from application, because that one is capable of dialing anywhere in any way. So it doesn't really matter. So it's all up to you as to how you want to do it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Anything else, guys? We got 9 more minutes, I guess. Where's everybody located? I have this really weird feeling that most of us are somewhere around Europe, and the guys in the US are already out.
Well, we are in Germany, and it's 2 a.m. now.
I'm in the UK. It's past midnight.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, I'm not far away from you. I'm about an hour away from each one of you. Ankit, look, if you want, next week I'm going to be in New York, so you're welcome to ping me and we'll have coffee. Awesome. So, guys,
Thank you.
Great. Not city, unfortunately. Okay. So it's been great. Potentially, I'll do another one of these in about a couple of weeks when I'm back from the US with some other stuff that we have in the pipeline, which is going to be really interesting. Okay, guys.
Thank you very much.
Hope you enjoyed it. Bye, buddy.